G'day everyone, I'm Smokescreen and welcome back to yet another video. Here we go, it's actually Daily Race A this time, and it's a bit of an interesting combination. We're actually in Group 4, which is good, but they're specially provided cars, and it's another one of the case of you've got a massive track and they've given you the Group 4 front-wheel drive machines. And this is the one I went for, the Volkswagen Scirocco. You may remember I used the same car when we had also a Group 4 specially provided car lot around Nürburgring GP. That video will be linked up in the card above if you'd like to have a look at that. But this particular time around we are at Autopolis International Racing Course. Bit of a weird track recently added into the game, but we'll get onto that a bit later once we get through lap 1 action. You see I receive a little bit of a punt going through turn 1, but I managed to keep it on track, penalty free, and actually the leader Mayday DIY has gotten a little bit of a gap thanks to that. But that particular corner there, that's turn 3. I'm actually, compared to the field in the races I did, I was actually pretty strong through turn 3. So I'm going to use that as a main overtaking opportunity, because if you actually look at the track map up at the top right of the screen, where do you overtake? That's my question. Yeah, there's that hairpin, but the entry is really curved, right-hander, so you end up going narrow into that. And then this turn up here, this turn 10 coming up, you'll see it's uphill, and you actually can't see the corner. Look, the track falls away as we hit the braking marker for there. Mayday has actually gone wide. Have a look at that. The track kind of falls away. There's not really any opportunity to get onto the power any earlier, just because you're going through such a violent elevation change through there. That's turn 11 there, really easy to run wide. Mayday drops a wheel off the edge of the curb on the exit there, and you see we actually gain a few tenths through that particular corner. Of course that wasn't helped by him running wide at turn 10, but we'll see how the race pans out. These couple of corners here, turns 14 and 15, if you go through wide there is an opportunity to slip up the inside, but the next corner is a left-hander, so it doesn't really translate to the inside of a corner until the second to last corner here, turn 18. It's a bit complicated the way this particular sector of the track works. So all in all, what I'm trying to say is there's absolutely no overtaking opportunities on this lap, and for that reason I'm actually not a massive fan of Autopolis either. But we're in the slipstream going down to turn 1. We're right in the slipstream of Mayday here. Get onto the brakes, don't go for the move that time. Mayday actually runs deep on his own accord, and we're able to get onto the power a little bit earlier. And of course the front-wheel drive cars, they actually don't come out of the corners that well. This is turn 3. This is what I mean. Look how strong I am through there. Get right onto his bumper through there. Don't quite accelerate as early as he can. But you see, over the whole course of this couple of corners here, I've actually gotten closer to him, and that's what I mean. You end up going very narrow for that hairpin. You saw Mayday do that there. I was actually a better run through there, but he was parked on the apex. There's nowhere I could go. So, yeah, that's nowhere to overtake. So basically, your best bet is to get a good exit from turn 18 and 19 and just head down the straight. Overtake down the straight using slipstream now, but we'll see what happens into turn 10. Very easy to run wide. He did so on the previous lap. He turns in very early, actually. I'm all over that inside curb, and I actually get onto the power a little bit earlier than him, but he has the momentum from keeping it high and wide and is around the inside, or yeah, the inside, heading down the hill towards turn 11. On the brakes at the same time, we're going to be able to get past. We both run a little bit deep. I have to brake twice. I have to have 2 stabs of that brake pedal to get through there, but we managed to get through there okay. But over the course of me trying to keep up with Mayday, I've actually got one bird 28 right up on my tail there, and I go really wide for the entry here, and you see how awkward it gets. He slams it up the inside, and I'm narrow, try and get onto the power, and I just end up understeering wide, and then he ends up off the track, and you know what that means. A very aggressive 4-second penalty. Now, granted, I did actually shove him off the road, and we'll serve that in the next lap. But you see, I kept second place there, as no one really capitalised. No one was really close enough to get past when I served the 4 seconds there. So that's where the title of the video comes from. Also, the track, you can see, is very curvy. There's very flowy, curvy corners, really not designed for front-wheel drive engine cars. So it's really hard to keep the car stuck onto the inside of a corner, and you get loads of understeer. So that's why Autopolis is also known as Understeer City, where we understeer to the very depths of, I don't know, depths to the abyss of nothingness. But you see we actually come home with a second place there, so that could have been a lot worse considering we actually did get a penalty in this instance here, but you see there I am, celebrating second place. And yeah, the Volkswagen Scirocco, it's my favourite car of the four. It's actually not a bad car in Group 4, but obviously it's not really suited for this circuit, so that's why PD have very cleverly chose it. But we'll go for a qualifying lap around here, and it's a good opportunity to talk about the track. So Autopolis, 19 corners over the course of 4.6 k's, the front straight is 900 metres long, but the braking point for turn 1 is just after that little orange paint on the left hand side barrier. Get through there nicely, keep it in third, try and get onto the power nice and early. I did notice in these cars, when you're half on the throttle, it does turn a little bit better. Turn 3, braking just after the little pass on the left hand side for turn 3, get through there nicely. Keep it narrow through turn 4 and 5 because you want to be on the left hand side for the hairpin, which is a right hander. Second gear through here, first gear it can get very understeery on the way out. See, there's half throttle, a lot of half throttle there. We don't go to the outside of the track as you would traditionally. I want to keep it sort of stuck to the inside because of all that understeer you get in front wheel drive cars. That's turn 8 through there, get through there nicely. Not a flat out corner by any means, but it's very easy to run wide as well. And heading up the hill towards turn 10, braking just on that second arrow board and turning into the inside of the corner there. Getting on the power nice and early there. The track falls away, so it's very easy to run wide. You have to just wait to get on the power a little bit longer than you traditionally would think. Heading down towards turn 11, braking just on the 50 metre board and pretty much turning in simultaneously, getting through there okay. Little bit of a lift to get through turn 12. You can dab the brakes to keep it over to the right hand side, as the next corner is a left hander here. And then the complex uphill, sort of double right-hander here. You see we keep it narrow like the guy did in the previous race where I ended up getting that penalty. Head up over the crest that is turn 17, or turn 16. This is turn 17 now. And I'm going to head it round to the outside. Keep it back over to the left for turn 18. Got to turn in really early. And fourth gear is actually the incorrect gear. You want to be in third. As you see, when I changed down to third, it immediately turned that little bit better. So for some reason, high gears mean more understeer as well. And then turn 19 is that shallow left-hander, but we cross the line with it 153.8, which I will take. I'll happily take that. And then we'll have a look to see where we put that on the grid. So this track, it's in Japan. It was built in the year 1990, and it was exactly the same as it was built. So there's been no changes, no additions or anything. It was introduced in Gran Turismo Sport in update 1.34, and there's actually a short variation which goes straight ahead at turn 10 and loops back around to start the straight as well, which was also introduced at the same time. But I changed the livery on my car this time. I've gone for the blue Volkswagen Scirocco, and it's pretty much the Scirocco Cup because there's not really too many other cars that people have chosen here. But we'll see how this race goes. Flick onto that radar. I'm actually in the wrong view. I should be on hood view, so my reference points aren't right. Braking nice and early for turn 1. Savage dive bomb when you look down at the radar going into there. A little bit wide on turn 1, but you see I've actually gapped the field by about half a second or 6-7 tenths by the end of the first corner there. So the next couple of corners are just covering, making sure we don't make a mistake and letting anyone else pass, because I'm pretty confident, given that the track is so difficult to overtake, inherently that means it's very easy to defend. We actually get through the first few corners there, and by the end of the race we actually win by 2.5 seconds. It was very consistent 154s throughout the race. So if you had a look on the right hand side, just before it flicked to the leaderboard here, I had 3 154s. I think I did get the fastest lap as well. We will see in just a second as I celebrate the grid. I got a clean race, not the fastest lap, but that's alright. You don't get anything special for a fastest lap, no extra points or anything, I don't think. So, victory there. We'll move on. So the Volkswagen Scirocco, a lot of people actually chose it as opposed to the other 3 you can, the Audi TT, Peugeot RCZ and Renault Megane. Have a look at this particular grid. I think there's an Audi near the back, a couple of Audis near the back, but otherwise it is all Sciroccos. Go empty that, empty the grid is. No one doing race A here. And yeah, I think once again, we'll see in just a second. I've actually chosen the wrong view again, so I get bored and flip views, but I would do most of my practice and racing in hood view or roof cam, which is what most people do. This guy pulls over to the left straight away, obviously going to do a last to first challenge, or last to question mark challenge, heading in towards turn 1. We're right behind. I just misjudged the braking, going to the back of the green car, which in turn goes into the back of the black car. Black car ends up into the gravel. That was entirely my fault. I also get lunged by a silver car, and I've got an Audi. No, I've got a black Scirocco up my inside as we go through turn 2 into turn 3. So that lap 1 action was entirely my fault, because I went into the back, obviously using the wrong view and not quite able to see the brake lights, the car in front of me, and I've got someone just nudged me through turn 5 there, to be around turn 6, park it on the apex, absolutely no way up the inside there. But you see, actually, because of all that fighting at the first few corners, the guy in first has actually got a gap to me by about 2 seconds. It would be a gap to second place probably by about 8-9 tenths. We'll see how the course of the race goes. You see, heading up towards the hairpin, turn 10 hairpin, black car goes very deep and goes very wide. As a result, we get on the power earlier than everyone up ahead, but obviously it's not going to be any overtakes, penalties behind, absolutely killing each other behind there. Obviously, people underestimating the understeer, really putting the under in understeer in this race. I'll also be putting the under in underperforming, because that is obviously what I'm very good at anything I do. We'll see how this race pans out here. We're getting through the first lap okay, keeping it fairly clean aside from turn 1. That's really what you're looking for on lap 1. No one's really pushing, because you don't want to make a mistake, especially while the pack is so closely bunched up behind you, although given that this particular race isn't that bunched up because a lot of mistakes are being made. But, yeah, we get through there okay, but we're going to be in the slipstream of Red Dragon now. Let's see how close we can get. I actually got a good exit from turn 19, although that stems from getting on the power early halfway through turn 18. In the slipstream now, we're going to be able to go for the overtake. He goes to the centre of the track. I brake later than him. I'm going to be able to go around the outside. Now I am going to keep it on the power nicely, and we get that position up at turn 1. That's never normally a move that gets made around the outside at turn 1, but he probably broke a little bit early and I broke slightly later than you would like. But overall, it was a clean move made, so I will take it. We're going to keep an eye on the battle pack up ahead. You see Koji under par is caught up to Workspear here, and they're going to squabble a little bit. The leader goes very wide through turn 6, and that just leads him ever so much closer to the guy in second, who gets the long left-hander of turn 8, slightly incorrect, being in the wrong gear. I saw a big flash of flame and brake lights halfway through, which you never want to see. Obviously, selecting the incorrect gear on the entry and too much understeer in the first half of the corner. Get through turn 10 nicely this time, actually both taking the nice inside line, taking the most narrow line possible through the middle of that corner is the way to get through there. I was actually gaining heading down the hill towards turn 11, but I just back out of it, as you're never going to get a move done through turn 11. The last thing I'm going to do is start to stick my nose up the inside through turn 11, because that is asking for a disaster. But through the course of this lap now, I've slowly caught the gap up to the leader a little bit, 1.2 seconds instead of 1.9, which it was about a lap and a half ago. So that bodes well. That means that I'm faster than the leader's race pace. So I'm actually looking at now, I'm seeing that he's making quite a few mistakes, especially for a leader as well. So ideally, the leader knows the most about the combination, knows the combination the best out of the whole field. As you can see, I actually posted the fastest time there of 53.9 immediately after the leader posted 54.1. So I'm actually the quickest on the track at the moment. But yeah, as I was saying, I'm noticing the leader's making a lot of mistakes throughout the course of the race, and that's just leading ever so much closer to the guy in second. And once they get sort of side by side or start fighting, they're going to lose a load of time, and that's going to invite me into the mix. So that's really how packs form as well in racing, when people start fighting, and slows the pack up, and then people behind get drawn into the pack as well. So that stems from the leader, and you can see that he's been making mistakes for the last few laps as well, and actually the silver car finally went for the dive bomb at turn 6, so that's never normally a move to be made, and there was also a lot of contact with that move as well. But yeah, what I was saying is the track is so difficult to overtake, so even though the leader has been making a few mistakes throughout the whole race, the guy that was in second has only just now been able to make the move. And going up into turn 10, Workspear does a little bit of a dive bomb there and just shepherds Koji wide, and then I make that position back up. So Koji goes from first to third in one corner thanks to a little bit of a dive bomb by Workspear. Actually brakes very late for turn 11 and actually doesn't even brake enough and bins it off onto the track. Bins it off onto the outside of turn 11 there, and I'm actually up into the lead at this point with one and a bit lap to go. So that's good, but I've got to not be susceptible to a move here, as I'm guilty of going too wide through turn 14 and 15, taking the wide line, and invite someone to stick their nose up the inside, and we saw how that turned out a couple of races ago. But now that I'm in the lead, I've got clean air. I don't have to worry about cars in front of me. I do have the radar on, but I don't look at it all the time, so I don't want to worry too much about cars behind. But going onto the long straight, I do look onto the radar here, because I know that he's in my slipstream and he's going to want to go for a move into turn 1 as I did last time, but I'm way defensive over to the right hand side. He pulls over to the left, so I start slowly moving to the left to get a better line for turn 1 with him on the outside. He's done exactly what I want him to do, but look down on the radar. There's a savage dive bomb by Red Dragon, and they both end up very slow, way off the track, and they've dropped down, and I've actually gapped them by about 2 seconds already, and you can see that translated into the easy victory. And I actually didn't quite get the fastest lap there, someone beat me by just a little bit, but we'll take it, you know, look at that. So that's the Moses effect for you. So just let the other people fight and make mistakes, and then capitalise on their mistakes rather than trying to force your way through the pack. Also how you get through there relatively cleanly and penalty free, as I did there. So that was a good video, not really my type of track. I don't really like Autopolis, as I said before, but the car's fine. Bit understeer, very understeering actually, I'll make that correction, but I do like the Scirocco. But that's going to round out the video, so do hit that like button to let me know you enjoyed, and then hit subscribe to see amazing videos like this in your subscription box every week. But that's going to be the end of the video today, and that means that is it from me. So once again, I do thank you very much for watching. See you later.